That coffee is delicious. So it's the afternoon.
How many L's in coffee, Chad?
Coffee.
1 W, 3 L's.
You know, I was in Amsterdam recently, and they spell coffee the same way that I pronounce coffee. It's just pretty interesting.
Well, I was just in Amsterdam the other day. You know, on my way to Paris.
Chad is the king of the subtle brag.
Yeah,
just
that wasn't a. That was just
yourself patting yourself
as
on
I
the
was
back
getting
there.
off
They
the
spell
front row
coffee.
seat to Amsterdam the other day. I was looking at the first class coffee machine. And,
Yeah, they spell coffee with a K, and so I just thought it was interesting.
Perfect. Do we have an intro this week? Or are we
do
just
have-
going to
we
mock
do
your
have-
accent?
We do have an intro.
Oh, dang.
It's Friday afternoon at 2:45.
It's Friday then.
God's time. So this should be lots of fun. You guys ready?
Ready.
Hey, this is Ken Kupperman down in sunny Florida. You found the Unlocked Podcast with the three amigos, Chad, Lars, and Tony. I've been listening since day one, and you should too. If you think Tony gets harassed too much on the show, send an email to theunlockedpodcast.com. Chad won't see it because he doesn't read emails, and Lars will just delete it.
Oh,
Take it away, guys.
Ken on top of it.
Sounds like
Wow.
Ken Kupperman.
Ken gets to take his one little shot at everybody.
Yeah.
It's,
He did pretty good there. That was a good job.
I wonder which one of his great-grandchildren showed him how to use his phone. To record that.
I was going to say, we used his intro in honor of our 70th episode because he's
Is he? He's
Ooh.
got to be
Oh,
close to 70, maybe older.
wow. No, Ken's like 52.
I think, like 50. Tony, I think we were joking. I think it was. I mean, we are absolutely on brand right now.
no, factually, I think he's 53.
Also, aren't we supposed to clap before? Isn't it clap, and that's what starts the?
Yeah.
Oh, do you want to start it over again?
The clap was the end of the preamble. No, we don't have.
Oh.
This is. But Tony, can you lead us in here with the clap, and then?
All right.
Also,
Here we go.
Sounds weird
Ready?
saying the clap. There we go.
Yep.
Okay, now we're just playing with sound effect buttons. It is Friday afternoon,
Oh, man.
and we
What a
have
day.
mailed it in. So get ready for this content. This is going to be amazing. Amazing.
This is going to be a fun
We're
one
back.
today. I got a fun activity for us here. And
You're the one
there
in
is
charge.
No
Shocking.
question. There is
This'll be
no
fun for you.
question how this is going to go. So
Ugh,
A fun
ah.
activity. Do we get to like draw pictures and stuff? Is that what they? He's got a coloring book.
close enough. It's going to be using our imagination. a little bit, so,
Our imaginations.
all right. So, since we all like top 10 lists so much, I wanted to continue on with that theme
top
here.
10. Top
Still got
10.
my
top
David
10.
Letterman mug here. So
That's
I still got the same coffee in from yesterday.
it is.
Anyways, so I've seen this done on Instagram before, where people will like throw
Oh,
out
boy.
books, and
We're doing Instagram trends now. Are we going to do
Sure.
a dance too?
Oh man.
We'll save that for Clark. So you throw out the book, and then you have to blind rank it. But I also want to do dialogue on the book and talk about why it's important to us. So what I've done is I've collected everybody's top 5 books that they would recommend to people. Professional development, business-related nonfiction books, essentially. Although there might end up being a fiction one on there. I'm not sure. So I have...
What is that?
Oh man. Keep
So-
going. This is great.
Yeah. It's great
I'm into
introduc-
it right now.
Great
So,
description.
And this week on NPR, starring Tony Hawkinson.
anyways,
Mm-hmm.
yes. So I have a top 12 list. The book lists were so good I had to extend
boy.
it to 12 because we have some good stuff on here. Actually, Chad in true Chad fashion sent me 20 books not prioritized. I was like, need a little better here. I need top 5, Chad.
Yeah, Chad GPT isn't overly
No.
useful.
I made that myself, and Lars sent like 8 books over.
Yeah, but he at least prioritized them, and it made my exercise much easier here.
Well,
yeah.
You
Chad,
didn't
Lars
give
for
clear
once.
instructions.
2026. No,
Yes.
I gave very clear
You
instructions.
also
I
want to
asked
give
this morning.
criteria.
I did ask.
2026 Lars is he's
No.
off to a great start.
I
Give him
asked. I
props.
said, "Are we supposed to send it in this thread? How are we supposed to send it to you?" I actually said, "How do we need to submit our books? That is for today's recording." Yes, and you just responded yes. You didn't answer the first
Was
question.
I supposed to answer if you were supposed to send them by carrier pigeon, or I mean,
You also then shared a note and said, "But I can't share the note."
Yeah, it was very confusing.
That was on the outline.
Anyway, that was different. That was for something else.
Okay, let's try and dial this back in here.
So here's what we're going to do.
Hopefully Beaver can just
1 through
erase the
12.
last 5 minutes of our lives.
Okay. So we are going
Okay,
to end with a 1 through 12 list, which we can put in our blog. I also have a list of additional 15 or so that people recommended that we can give people some stuff to read here. But we're going to rank priority 1 through 12. So I'm going to throw out a book. You have to rank it. Is it the best book on the list, or is it the 12th book on the list?
Are we
you don't
guessing,
know
or are we just deciding?
You're deciding. You're putting where you want to rank it. Okay.
Okay. So I have a sheet here where I'm just going to write them down so I can figure it out.
I'm writing it down too.
Oh,
you'll probably lose. Yeah.
Lars is going to have 4 of the same number.
Yes.
Number 3.
So, anyways, we're going to start off with a very popular book. This was off of Lars's list, and Chad gets to rank where it goes. The book is Traction.
Gino Wickman.
Yes.
And this is on a top how many list?
Top 12. So you have to rank it 1 through 12. You have to put it in a spot.
Who creates a top 12 list?
Again, we just had so many good books. I had to extend it.
Oh,
so,
okay.
4 for each of us.
This week on the Top 12 podcast.
Yeah. It's a very creative way to get away.
Traction, Chad.
So, Chad, talk to us about Traction. You've read that book. What do you think about it? Where would you rank it? What'd you like? What'd you dislike?
I would rank it number 6 on a list of 1 to 12.
Oh. All right.
And here's the reason why.
Right.
It is a very complex book to digest and apply. So if I were giving it in a ranking of if I'm a business owner and these are the 12 books that I should read, I think it falls somewhere right in the middle, because I think there's some more fundamental books that you would want to read first from a leadership perspective before you started to get into the actual dynamics and application of the book. That's my theory.
All right. Lars, you had it as your second favorite book. Why was it so high for you?
Chad couldn't be more wrong.
Okay. I like this.
Is generally horribly off base. And this is absolutely one of those instances where he is out of his mind.
Okay.
Traction gives a framework. I would say if you are early on, first 5 years in business, certainly the first couple, I would put this right at the top. As far as a practical, tangible book that you can use as like a workbook and a workshop to organize your thoughts. Because generally in that period of work, you're just putting out every fire you can. And Traction really helps you systematically and intentionally figure out who's responsible for what. It introduces organizational charts. It talks about core values. It talks about aligning vision and strategy. And it's a really fundamental book. Now, I know what Chad's saying, and he's talking about, I think now in his career, it probably drops down the list because now he's more at a higher level macro view where it's less tangible and more thought-provoking and self-reflective. And so I can certainly see that. But if I was recommending a new business owner or someone that's in that messy middle, I would say Traction would be right near the top.
Yeah, I think
that's the thing I disagree with, because I feel like it's too much to digest at that point.
Because you're wrong. That's why.
Yeah.
You're a big dummy, and when you say coffee dumb.
I read Traction was so,
and I don't like your face.
As much as I don't like to agree with either of you, I am going to agree with Chad a little bit. I read this book. It was one of the first business books I ever read. It was before I started working here. And I read it and I was like, what is all this stuff? I had no idea how it applied to my business.
Is this American education? Is this what it is? You guys have both said, this is a hard book to read. I
have since reread it or reread sections of it multiple times. It is an absolute fabulous reference book.
At least once a year.
But I would say that it is a book you should know. It should absolutely be on your read list. If you have not read it, you should absolutely read it. So I agree with the recommendation. I do also agree with Chad's ranking of not having it be the first business book you read. So I guess I agreed with both of you, as hard as that is to do.
So are you like the final say on if it's a good ranking or not?
No,
I don't.
No,
okay.
I'm. You get to choose. You hope 6, so it is number 6.
I hope Gino Wickman is listening to this and just felt the slap in his face that Chad just gave him. Gino, you're my boy. You're right near the top.
Well, he might show up again on this list, so we'll see. So Second book, Lars.
Rocket fuel.
This one was on my list. It also made an appearance down
Number
a little bit on
13.
your list.
I was going to say, this will be tough for me to talk about a book on your list, Tone, but I like the game so
No,
far. It's working.
It also made it on your list. Okay, so
Okay,
Extreme
good.
Ownership. Jocko
yeah,
Willink.
That is Jocko.
Yes.
Yes.
Where would you rank that? 1
where
through
would I
12. You cannot rank
rank
it
it?
number 6.
Ooh.
Oof.
Dead air ums.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Who would have saw this coming? I'm going to put it really good book. Really
Okay.
like the book. It's a good, entertaining book, especially if you have a history background or military, anything like that. It's a good read, and if you listen to it, it is read by the authors, so that's super cool. And Jocko's, it's just really unique. But I'm going to put it closer to the bottom. I'm going to say it's 9.
Oh, just punch him in the throat.
Yeah,
Wow.
well, Jocko sounds like he's been punched. It's Jocko and Leaf, right? That's the other guy.
Yes, Leif Babin and
Yeah.
Jocko Willink.
It's what I enjoy about the book and what I agree. I remember I was doing some renovations and I was just listening to it, and it really it really hammers home the idea of extreme ownership, which is a very military mindset. I guess it's well named, the extreme ownership. But the concept being that, everything is up to the leader and the owner in a business. It ultimately, if something goes wrong or doesn't align or something happens, it is they weren't prepared, or they weren't planned, or they weren't trained, or there was something, and you just lean into it and own it. And I really like that concept and that idea, because it really a lesson of humility and understanding that there's always more that you can provide. And
Sure.
it's so easy just to point the finger at somebody else, but this is really flipping that around, that what could you have done in a reflective way to have made the situation successful. So I read it at a good time in my life too. So
Yeah, it was my top choice. I just think the mentality
that was
of
number
it is
1 for you.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
I liked it for a couple reasons. One, I thought it was extremely entertaining. The way it was laid out and structured, I liked a lot. How there was a story and then the lesson that applied to the story. And I just think it's a really good book for everyone to read, because it is all about what you can control, focusing on what you can control and not others. And I just thought there was a lot of really cool stuff in it.
There's no bad teams. There's only bad leaders.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of the philosophy of it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I haven't read the entire book. I've only read parts of it, and I'm familiar with the concept. I actually would probably put it higher on the list because it's an establishing, fundamental. I don't know that I would go 1. I would probably say, in the 4 or 5 range. But it's a fundamental establishment of a leadership.
Really.
Correct. So theoretically, like, there's leadership philosophy. You've got to align with a leadership philosophy first. Then you're going to put in some type of an operating system for what you're going to do. And so that's why I would want to align a leadership philosophy higher on the list if I were establishing that.
That's fair.
All right.
And it's a really entertaining book.
Yeah.
It's cool to listen to for sure.
Book number 3 is my turn.
Do you want a drum roll?
Yeah. Next book is Profit First,
Ooh.
which was number 2 on Chad's list. I am going to put it number 10. And I am trying my best to not cheat and look at other books to come. But
you made the list.
You gathered the list.
Well, yeah, but I didn't memorize it. Like, I have it sitting here, but I'm looking at.
You don't
only-
have this
yes.
memorized. Rain Man, you can tell me how many queens there are.
Profit First.
Yeah.
Ultimately, we have some really good books on this list. So this is by any means, top 10 out of all these books is still good. Really good fundamental book on just finances for business. Finance for business. There we go. A really good story. I think part of the reason I didn't like it is because it's almost too simple. It is like finance for, I don't want to say finance for dummies, but that's basically what it is. Like, it is like literally like But if you look at the principles that he talks about, they are extremely good, and you can apply that to any business. And it is all about making your small business do what it should do, which is make money. So some really good principles. I think Mike Michalowicz does a really good job. All of his books are good, but I think there's some other books out there that are a little bit better.
The Coffee, do you want to jump in here? I know you're chomping at the bit. This is
No,
supposed to be your
go ahead. No, go ahead.
Yeah, well, this is your book, so you can wind it up at the end. But I was going to say the biggest knock against this book, I would say, is it's redundant. And it's redundant. So being redundant, it says the same thing over and over again, kind of redundantly. But it really hammers home that same principle. But what I really like is the philosophy behind it. Unfortunately, you probably only have to read the first 2 chapters that I recall. But the philosophy is that, the first line on your budget is profit. And that happens there. And this is, correct me if I'm wrong, I get this one and Measure What Matters mixed up. But this is, the different bank accounts.
Yes.
And
different envelopes. Yeah.
Yeah. Different envelopes for money. And it's such a dumb and counterintuitive idea.
Yeah.
But it works.
That works.
But it works. You have a profit account, and every month you take money out of your operating main account and it goes to your profit account. And it's in a different account that no one has access to, and your profit is guaranteed there, and you have to make the rest work. Yep. That is a very fundamental and silly thing to do, and it works.
Yep. 100%.
And
100%.
If you are thinking about where you're at in your business journey, I can see the argument for placing it higher because it is a fundamental to business.
We all read this during COVID, right? That was part of our book club in probably 21.
Yep.
So, and it was hugely impactful then. If you're having trouble managing cash flow, because it's scarcity principle, if you have more money in an operating bank account, you will spend more money. Mm-hmm. If you don't have as much, you get creative on ways how to not spend money. It's a beautiful philosophy. It's just so simple. I'd just say the knock on the book is it's redundant. Chad, jump in here before I choke you.
I love the fact that it's so simple, but nobody does it.
It's true. It's true.
It's because it's counterintuitive and stupid.
It's stupid. It's simple. It's counterproductive.
It is counterproductive, though. But I think once your business gets past 2-3 million, you can't. I don't want to say you can't run it that way, but you probably shouldn't. Like, you should create a budget, and you should budget for profit first. Sure, but
I would disagree with that
how
statement.
Many people
100%.
How many people can actually implement it and stick to it?
Because
it's very few, probably.
Because it's tempting to have it and pull it and use it, and so setting it aside, I can tell you wholeheartedly, from a cash flow crunch perspective, survival for us has been based off of the fact that we put this discipline in several years ago, and so we had retained earnings to be able to utilize. Like that's huge, and in turn been able to use it for investment opportunities, etc. So I would probably, it's weird. It probably falls in a good number on 10. Like, if you were reading these in order, it probably falls in there. I mean, it's one of the things that you could argue, I think both sides, that it would be a good fundamental book to read early if you could apply it. I don't know that a young business or an immature kind of business would have the level to apply it, because it sounds so scary to do.
Yeah, well, and you don't have any money, so it doesn't matter as much, I would say.
Yeah, but I would get it in there as fast as I could, because it changes everything about how you operate the business.
Yeah, and again, it's going to be high on your list as a philosophy type of book. Yeah, it is a tangible philosophy. Yeah, it's worth reading because it's going to be quick.
And I would say
cover to cover.
I would say this: Mike Michalowicz does a fantastic job. He's a very, very entertaining author across the board, because he speaks as he applied this from his implementation of it in his businesses. But the thing is that the redundancy is good for skeptics. So if you get into this and reading it from a skeptic standpoint, the redundancy helps to solidify it on multiple levels. And I think that's why if you capture the concept at the beginning, you agree with it, that's great. then yeah, you don't have to read the rest of it. But a lot of people, it takes a lot of time from a skeptical standpoint to be able to agree with it and then apply it. So I think that's where you might see the redundancy happen. But it's a fabulous book.
Oh,
All right.
Take quick
Next
5
book.
there. It's a fabulous
This
book.
is
It's a stinky book.
this was on Chad's lengthy list of 15, and also my top 3 or 4. Chad, where would you rank Radical Candor?
Ooh.
What's that? Kim Scott, right?
Kim Scott. Yep.
I would put it number 7.
Number 7. Ooh. Huh. All right. And tell us about Radical Candor.
So, this is a book around, I guess, getting true to how you manage people.
Mhm.
So, again, we're trying to build things here. So you've got some leadership philosophies, and you're gonna have some operational philosophies, and then you got to have people philosophy.
People philosophy, yeah.
And this is one of those elements. It's like, if you just come off reading Traction and kind of digesting it, one of the pieces of Traction is the people element.
Yep.
Well, this is a real huge component of, well, now I've got to hire people. I've got to have clear boundaries, clear expectations. How do I have conversation? How do I report to people? How do we have metrics that we're going to go off of and get very clear of what we're asking people to do? And I think, this book probably opened up my eyes a lot to and I think we talked about it on the last episode, saying being
Nice and kind.
To be unclear is to be unkind. And oftentimes it's easy for us to be to feel like we're being kind, so we don't say what we need to say. Radical Candor gives you a lot of tools to be able to clarify your message in a very kind way and get the point across.
Yeah, I had a little trouble getting through it because I don't remember why, but I think the whole concept of speaking from a place of caring. I talk about it almost every episode about putting money in the piggy bank. And
You struggle with that concept?
sorry, I'm just giving time.
You said you had to
everyone can-
struggle getting through it, and then you
No,
said
I
coming from a
wanted
place
to
of
give
caring.
everyone time to laugh
Oh, yes,
at that
yes.
zinger. But
Thanks. You're so
it's
kind. Really caring.
no, that didn't come from a place of caring. That came. So the concept makes a lot of sense to me. I do think that a lot of people that read this book misinterpret and or use it as an excuse to be a dick.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh, I'm just being candid.
Yeah.
Well, you're missing the part where it's coming from that place of caring.
Yeah.
And I know because I had our leadership team read the book, and I think, well, I'm just being honest. It's like, well, yeah, you're just being honest, but you also are coming across like a jerk. Which being honest is a good thing, but you don't have to be. That's the whole point of the book, is you don't have to be a jerk to be honest.
Yeah.
If they know they're coming from a place of caring, then that makes sense. But
one of the elements in there is obviously it's pairing caring and challenge at the same point. Kurt Graves uses the term a lot that he coined from this.
Who's that?
He's Vistage. Anyways, that was
Bingo.
well played. He used the term carefrontation,
Uh-huh.
and it's kind of pulling from this book, right? You're confronting something with care, and so don't back down from making sure that if it's important that you're gonna handle it, but handling it with care. And to your point, I think a lot of people, it's one of the things we talk about in our business a lot with courageous honesty. Is people utilize can arm themselves with, well, I'm just being courageously honest.
Right.
Well, you got to pair that with outrageous kindness as well. So if you bring those two things together, then you're effectively getting carefrontation or radical candor. It kind of all falls together. It's just
if you can implement it to the level that I think the author was meaning to and intending to, I think it's a hugely valuable tool, and it's a brilliant concept.
Yeah.
I have just personally seen it implemented poorly. Which causes more problems.
Yeah.
Can I give you a practical example on this for 13 seconds? When we had a gentleman in our organization, when he started in the quoting process, he would forget to put power supplies on quotes. for access control jobs, and it did it every single time. And
Consistency, good for him.
From a carrying standpoint, the people that would catch it on the back end would just go in and add it and not tell him because they didn't want him to feel bad.
Didn't want to hurt his feelings.
Right. Well, then in turn, on a business perspective, we just gave away power supplies for free because we had to use it, but we didn't charge the customer for it because
Very
we
Buffalo security of you.
Yeah. And so this was kind of an ongoing thing. And when it was uncovered, they said, well, we didn't want to say anything because we didn't want you to feel bad. That is the opposite of the radical candor, right?
Correct.
Because all you had to do is say, hey, wanted to make you aware of this because I know you're new to this role, and you and here's what we're finding, and here's the reason why, and here's how we can prevent it, and handled in the radical candor methodology or confrontation. Then you solve that problem and you move on. But instead, they thought they were being kind by solving it for him on the back end, but all they were doing was causing more problems down the line, being unclear.
That's avoidance.
Yeah.
Right. And avoidance is the surefire best way to make things worse for yourself and everyone in the long term.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, I think it's a great book. I think for me, it's one of the better people books out there. I mean, it talks about everything about performance reviews to giving feedback. The most of the book is on, again, being radically candid. But from an HR standpoint and just managing people, I thought it was a really good summary of how to carry yourself as a leader when it comes to people management. So that lands at number 7. So Lars is up next here. So just to summarize quick, we have the 1 through 5 spots wide open. Everyone is sandbagging here. And
only
then
if you know what the books were, and then you could actually rank it. But
and then 8 is open along with 11 and 12. So
okay, 1 through 5, 8, 11, and 12. So we got some doozies coming here.
Yes. You guys better hope there's some good books. Next book. This was number 3 on Chad's list, and also on my list, a little bit further down, 4 Disciplines of Execution.
Okay.
And who's rating this one?
Sorry, Lars, you were rating this.
Oh, so it's not on my list, but you want me to talk about it and rank it?
Yes, you have read it, and I know you know it. So
yeah, it's not on my top 8 list, so it's going to be hard for me to put it up there. Okay. Again, a very impactful book. Probably the hardest read of any of them. Found it's a lot to chew on. 40X is what it's commonly known. It's hard to implement. It's another good, I would say, philosophy book at a high level. But it's one that I really struggled to get through. So,
was it because of leading measures that got you stuck?
No, that's why I burnt my first copy of it. Because the worst thing to happen to the world in 2020 was Chad trying to explain lead and lag measures to a group of 20 people on a business call. But I would say 40X is a super valuable book, but it to me is more like a university course. It's something you have to digest over probably 3 months, 6 months, and really go through it. And it's not one you want to listen to. It's one you want to read with a pen and paper, which just to me makes it, drops it down the list significantly. I like books now that challenge my way of thinking, as opposed to this is a very kind of structured way of doing things, which doesn't align with me very well. So I'm going to slot it. Okay. I'm going to slot it for you guys. I will slot it at number 5.
All right.
Ooh. I would personally put it at 13 on our 1 to 12 list.
All right.
But I will put it at number 5 because it is a very popular book and it makes a lot of good points. I'm talking about the book itself. It is tough to chew. Like, eat your broccoli, boys, because it's Yeah.
Chad, what do you have to add on that? You had it number 3, so you like this book.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with the placement on there, especially when we're talking about a top 12. It is a tough book. I have gone through this book at least 4 times.
Yeah.
Because I got it wrong, the first 2 or 3 times, and it was very challenging. Obviously, it was very challenging to digest and communicate to.
Are you guys noticing that this book is literally sitting beside me? It's right there. As I'm sitting there saying, I hate this book. It's on my shelf right beside me.
That's
40X.
funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, I mean, the reason that I put it higher on my list was because of the fundamental change that it impacted on the business.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd put it up there matching with traction from a beneficial standpoint. It was,
That's fair.
It was a punch in the throat. It was tough to get through. It was several misses from an application standpoint, but finally getting, the win for us was, I think we got maybe around 10 people in our organization that read it. And then once they all started to grasp it, then it started to change. And it's fundamentally around why we have, some of our targets and lead measures and that have been successful for us over the last couple of years. So it's all around how to align an entire company around a common goal, how you're going to measure that, how you're going to progress it, and find ways that each person and each department inside of your organization can work collectively together to accomplish that.
And Chad, all jokes aside, give me a rundown of lead measures, because it's a super important concept that we all, I'm not trying not to joke. I can see you guys both laughing at me, but I'm being serious. It is the concept of lead measures is super impactful for all of our businesses.
It is.
How it was explained to us 6 years ago was pretty poor. But this is your chance at redemption for those that aren't familiar with the term of lead measures. What are we talking about here?
To just take it completely outside of our industry.
Give us something practical.
The best example that I have is shoe salesman. So you go to a store where you buy shoes, and they measure at the end of the day how many pairs of shoes that they've sold. So that's their lag measure. That's how they know the amount of revenue, the units that they've sold. What a good shoe salesman or a good shoe store would identify to be a lead measure might be the amount of try-ons that they get. So they have identified that the more people that try on a pair of shoes, the higher percentage of a purchase will happen. So instead of measuring the number of shoes sold per salesperson, they start measuring the number of try-ons per person, and they can target that. So if they deem it to be for every 100 pairs of shoes that are tried on, we sell 10 of those pairs. Right. So now that if they're end of the day, their market is on selling shoes, then now they can say, okay, now your responsibility is just to get 100 pairs of shoes tried on today. And
it's the verb. That's what we're focused on. It's the actions that are creating.
Yes, actions and results.
If you do
actions
the actions
and outcomes
consistently and correctly, the outcome will manage itself.
Now the hard part is application to our industry, application to what we do to break that same thing down, because we're not having people try on shoes, and we're not going to have people try on locks. So it's like, what is that lead activity that is going to actually generate? And it's not just on the specific sales, but it's in everything that you do. Like, for instance, the percentage of answering a phone, like when your phone rings for your business, the higher percentage of answering the phone turns into a higher percentage of work orders created. So if you're measuring that, now instead of measuring the number of work orders, you're just measuring the answer rate. Those types of things, and then trying to digest it for your business.
Another way I heard it was, I think Eagle Eye has, when they do their goal setting, they call it like actions and outcomes or something like that. So it's, again, what are the outcomes you're looking for? What are the actions you need to hit those outcomes?
You win 1 out of 10. So if you do more, you're going to win more.
Correct.
That's all there is to it. Right. Yeah. So it is a good book. It's just, my original presentation of it was a little disheveled and ahead of its time.
Yeah,
but
sure.
As usual, you were just so far ahead of your time. I'm glad you figured out a way to compliment yourself.
It just seems like
an absolute train wreck.
It's starting to be a little more impactful now. It just took a few years.
Yeah. Okay. So Chad's putting himself at number 1, and then the book's at number 5. And
all right. This next one is rocket fuel. This was number 4 on Chad's list.
Barf.
I put
this
12.
isn't my ranking. Sorry.
Well, I agree with you. It's a good book. You could make an argument it belongs in the top 12. Chad's arguing it belongs in the top 4. I will say that
Traction is 8 and rocket fuel is 4. Is that what we're getting at here?
no,
Traction is 6.
He
6
had
and rocket fuel is 4.
no. I'm putting it 12. It was 4
Cool.
for 12.
I'm going to just mute
anyways.
myself here. Keep going.
Anyways, I think I see where Chad was going with ranking it number 4 for himself, because it is a good book as far as if you're an owner and you're trying to get out of the day to day. It is very logical in how the visionary integrator method and how that creates rocket fuel.
There
right?
we go. we knew it was coming. It was just a matter of time.
I hate it.
35
I put it as
minutes.
12 on the list. I think it is a good read. It is a simple read. If you are struggling getting out of the day-to-day operations of your business, absolutely should read this book, depending on where you're at. Like I said, there's just a lot of other really good books on this list. I put it at number 12 just because I think the concept is so simple. It is again easily digestible. I think there's other books in here that you can get more value out of, but it is a simple read. And again, I would recommend it to anybody that is stuck in the day-to-day and trying to get out of that, looking to hire a number 2. It's got some good principles in there. So.
It is, my understanding is it's expanded version of chapter 3, I think, of Traction.
Correct. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
That's really what it is. So I can understand where if you're not ready for all of Traction and you are at, I'm going to say that beginning of your business, you have, I don't know, 3 to 5 employees or even, 2 to 4, and you're starting to kind of get that overlap and trying to figure out what everyone is doing.
Yep.
Rocket Fuel is a very easy, digestible version of Traction to get you started. It doesn't get you all the way into the weeds like Traction does. So I know how simple Chad is. So this makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
Yeah, well played. I can tell you my theory around it, and the practical application to me was getting people in our company to read Rocket Fuel while I was reading Traction and trying to implement Traction.
Yeah,
It gave a clear message because we were like understanding, and it really probably is based off of your organization and your business. We were in the middle of a massive transition of from like a leadership standpoint of how things worked. I have a business partner. We both ran the business together for a many number of years. And as we were starting to figure out where our max capacity was hitting and how we were going to scale the next level and all these adjustments, the book Rocket Fuel started to describe that visionary integrator and ownership element and understood where my role needed to be, where his role needed to be, and where we were having deficiencies.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think it's impactful, because if you start to look at your business and you go, hey, we're going to make all these changes, and your team is not understanding why these changes are happening.
Yeah.
This book, once there was probably a dozen people in our company that read it and they went,
oh yeah, okay.
This makes sense. And then now like we're behind it because like we can see where this is headed. So that's the reasoning.
So Chad, I got to ask you.
Yeah.
We've known each other 13 years, 14, 15 years, about that. Can you think of anything in the world that Tony enjoys more than debating the integrator versus visionary topic of a human? Ice cream,
culture,
2. Sorry, Graham, you're 3.
Culture index.
Culture index, there you go.
Yeah.
I remember specifically us driving in a car from North Carolina to Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
And it was the visionary integrator debate for however long that took. 4 hours.
We didn't quite
go
make
to
it to
DC,
Washington,
but-
D.C.
We went to Roanoke,
which is close.
Whatever. We were somewhere in America, but we stopped.
We were just driving from Montreal to Calgary. It was all the same.
Stopped for a go-kart session and then immediately got in the car. We're like, that was fun. And Tony's, So about the integrator, I was thinking that was a fun memory. But if anyone wants to have a good conversation with Tony, bring up integrator, visionary. So good book. That was number 4. Is that where you put it? Or Tony, no, you put it at 12.
No, I put 12. Yeah.
12.
12.
Okay.
Ooh.
12. Yep.
So we
Gotcha.
are halfway down here. We have 1 through 4 wide open.
Oh boy.
And
got some good
8
ones.
and 11 also open. So,
Good books coming here. Everyone
Yes.
be ready.
yes. All right. Chad, you were up next. This is
Ooh.
a good one. This book actually made it on all 3 of our lists.
Probably needs to be in the top 4.
It was number 5 for Chad, and it was on my top 15 list, and it was number 3 for Lars. So pay attention, people.
10x?
10x is better than 2x.
Oh,
Yes, sir.
oh, that's hard.
Dan
That is
Sullivan,
tough.
Ben Hardy. It's a long time experience and an academic come together to write a book. They've got a handful of them.
Chad, where are you ranking it?
Man, on this list, that's tough. That's tough because it is. If you read that before 4 Disciplines of Execution, I think you're backwards. But
Well, do these
I
have
think
to,
if you-
are these the order of reading? So are you supposed to read number 1 because my list is out of whack now? If that's the direction we're going.
It
Or
was
these
not.
just best
Chad,
books?
Oh,
Chad
it's
took
not.
it that direction, but you know what?
Okay.
We're just going with it.
Oh, okay. Then
Best books.
I will put 10x is easier than 2x up at number 3.
Ooh, wow.
Yes.
That
Yes,
is
sir.
under ranking.
That is
Chad, you ranked it 5 on your own list. Do you think that there are 2 books better than this?
it sounds like
Yeah.
he thinks there's 4 books better than this.
Correct. But
Give me an
2 of his
explanation,
have
Chad.
already been thrown out.
Tell me
So-
10x over 2x.
Yeah, why I think it should be number 3 is
Give us a little bit about the book. Too.
Oh, okay. So the philosophy around it is harder to double your business than it is to go at a 10-time multiple, because in that original stage you are all things to all people, and you're trying to touch too many things inaccurately and working outside of your strength zone. And the kind of concept goes around one of the stories in there that stood out to me the most, and I think this is kind of maybe a really good example for our industry. But there was a realtor that was, and I've messed this story up all the time, so this is my interpretation of it. There was a realtor that was really good and really enjoyed the listing element around the real estate component. So they really enjoyed the listing, getting the best photos, the best information, market information to get that listed up there. What they did not enjoy was the selling, the buyer side. They only enjoyed the seller side. And so when they were starting out in their career, they had to do both because it was kind of feast or famine, and you just did whatever came to you. Once they got into the realization of where their strength was and their enjoyment, and what they were really good at, which was being able to market a home for sale, they found out they needed to hire somebody to handle the seller side. And when they did that, on the buyer side, when they did that, the business grew exponentially because all they were focused on was the listing side and the sell side, and they had somebody else focused on the buy side. And when they did that, it just incredibly grew the business just out of the water. And as I was listening to this book, I was like, okay, what are the things in our business that we are distracting ourselves with that are taking away from our growth opportunities? So, because we don't want to say no to anybody, and because we're concerned that if we say no to this particular thing, then it's going to be bad. We have to get really strong at the things that we're good at, the things that we can repeat, the things that we can just be solid in, and allow ourselves to be freed from those other distractions or the other elements that are going to drag that down. And so, that's kind of the summary around it. There's a lot of psychology around it. There's a lot of philosophy. And then it comes down to finding the who's, because just because you might not enjoy the buy side of real estate doesn't necessarily mean it's not necessary, because you got to have buyers to sell. And so it's now finding somebody that really enjoys that and is really good at it, that is not really good and does not really enjoy the sell side.
Yeah, it's a really good book. I read this and Who Not How pretty much back to back, which is also by Dan Sullivan. And they both have this book, I think, covers concepts from Who Not How and kind of the scaling and how you need to think bigger. Again, it's easier to go to 10x than it is to go to 2x with the mindset shift. I actually think this is a book that if you have not read this, you should absolutely order it now and buy it, read it, It is extremely good. There's so many principles in there, and both those authors are really good at simplifying the concepts, and it's an entertaining read, easy read. I think I listened to it, but it's a absolutely great book.
Good conversational book. It's
Yes.
two guys chatting. The one maybe the one aspect I would add to kind of Chad's description of it, and what was so impactful for me, the gratitude you get out of a 2x. If you're trying to double your business, improve your profitability, for instance, your immediate reaction is going to be go through and let's see where we can cut some expenses, right? And it's just like, how do we do more of the same, just more efficiently? And the amount of effort it takes to add that delta is a lot. And the payoff really isn't that much. And that really kind of hit home for me. Whereas if you're trying to 10x, it's a whole other conversation. Like an interesting exercise. I came to my sales team and said, okay, right now, I said, all right, our sales goal for this year is double. Yep. Okay, if you're $1 million now, you're $2 million. And they're all just like, oh, it's like, that's gonna, not gonna be able to do that. And I said, okay, let's have a whole other conversation. Your sales goal this year is 10 million each.
Yep.
And they just immediately like, well, you can't. It's like, right, you can't. Doing things the way you're doing it, right now, there's no way you can do it. But what it does is it engages a different part of your brain to then start thinking like, okay, how could we do it? And then you start getting crazy ideas. Well, we would have to, we'd have to be able to use AI to do this. We would have to, it's a whole different game. And you get a lot of really good, insightful ideas of how to do things completely differently. Now, is it realistic all the time? No, but it's a whole different mindset, which is why I really liked it, because it opened my eyes to think of how can we do this differently? Because the practical application for us was, I started in this business 15 years ago. We are quoting and selling products the same way, using the same platform, doing the same that we did 15 years ago. So to me, it was like, oh man, we need something different here. So
Yep. All right.
I like it.
This one's going to be interesting.
Oh,
I'm excited to hear about this one.
the rest have been crap, so this will be good.
This is actually one that was on your list, Lars. So you get to rank it.
Well, that's
doing
good.
things a little bit differently.
'Cause I've read this book then.
I think you might be the only one of us that have read this book.
What?
Atlas
Oh,
Shrugged.
it's Atlas Shrugged.
Yes. This is Lars's #1 book. It is sitting on my nightstand, and it is so many pages. It is intimidating.
It is. It is sitting on my right elbow.
And
right now.
not only is it like 700 pages, but the print is microscopic. Like,
Yeah. It's
So, tell us about this.
this will be the only fiction book on our list for sure.
Correct. Yep.
So because of that, I'm going to throw it at 13 because this is, or 12. This is top 12 list.
11 is the only one
11.
open.
All right. So this will be number 11 because I'm guessing this is number 1 for me. I'd say this had the single biggest impact on my life, this book. But it's the premise is it's a fictional story that aligns it's referred to as like the Bible of capitalism. It is a story that's about 3 different industries, and they come together and effectively, the entrepreneurs create this system that brings a lot of value, and they make a lot of money, and things come to down, and then regulation comes in to kind of just downplay everything and make sure it's all fair. And it really talks about the fairness and equal. And it says, fair is not equal. And that whole concept and the entitlement, but it talks about how society really blends those lines. And, it takes away, it tells the story of this fictional environment where there is no benefit of working harder, of producing more, of performing better, any of that stuff. And what happens to society as a whole when you take away that incentive. And it starts, I'm not going to get into too much of it, but it starts then saying, okay, these are the characteristics of what the society looks like. And it is, when you read it, you're like, there's no way. Like, this is wild. It is literally describing a period of, I would say, probably 2020 to 2023, where we had a pretty dramatic change, I would say, in society. But it talks about, as you go down this path, these are the things and these are the terms that become kind of common. And you just read it and you're like, I can't believe this is a fiction book. And then you notice it was written in 1948.
Yeah.
And you're like, it was written by a lady in Germany post-World War II, 1948.
Wow.
Writes this book predicting, what it would look like if the world went down this path. And it's scary how accurate it is.
And yet you're ranking it 11.
Well, I rank it number 1, but I think for the purpose of
your
this
choice
list,
to rank.
I'm going to put it number 11.
Okay. All right.
Because but anyway, it is a long book. The first chapter you can probably summarize pretty quick, but chapter 2 or part 2 and part 3 are really interesting. Especially, I kind of blew the top off that, but especially because it's a 7-year-old book. It's just mind blowing. So, and I have about 20 copies that I mail out and give to friends all the time.
Yes.
Would you recommend reading it or listening to it?
It's a very easy listen.
Yeah.
It's a bit hard to probably read, but it's an easy listen because you don't have to actively read every single word. So I liked listening to it when I was in the car, and because it is a story, you can set it down, pick it up. It's not a workbook at all. So
cool.
Yeah, I downloaded that thing from like years ago and started it, and it was like,
Keep in mind, I also listen to books on 2x, like double speed. So
I've heard 10x is greater than 2x.
I've never tried 10x listening, but
that would be incredible.
That'd be like the rate Tony asks questions.
All right. Next book was on one off my list. I didn't know if you two have read this one, so I decided I will rank it. Drive by Daniel Pink. Have either of you read that one?
It sounds familiar.
No, I've heard you talk about it though.
Yeah. It's all about human motivation, autonomy, like how humans are motivated by 3 things: autonomy, mastery, and purpose. And how traditional mindset is that you motivate people with carrots and sticks, rewards and punishments, essentially. But this book kind of talks about how, in reality, people are more motivated by intrinsic motivators, and those motivators are, again, autonomy, mastery, and purpose. And overall, it was just a really good book. Kind of shaped me fundamentally how I think about employees and just how there's more to motivation than, again, carrots and sticks. So it's a pretty simple read. There's also a really good TED talk on it. Daniel Pink does like a 15-minute TED talk about the book, and you can get most of the concepts there. But overall, I thought it was a really good book. I will rank it number 8, primarily because I know what other books are coming. But I will rank it 8. It's a good book. I think that it's a good book for me. Again, kind of similar to Lars's Atlas Shrugged ranking.
Is it a good book though?
I'm getting the feeling it's a good book.
It's a good book.
It's a good book.
Good book.
Good book, Tom.
Good read the book.
Sorry. Tony might have just got disconnected, or perhaps his motherboard was short-circuited.
Daniel Pink also has a lot of interesting stuff on social media nowadays about just employees and motivation, and So, anyways, moving on. Chad, we have 3 books left, and the first,
going to be 1, 2, or 4.
So, I should have thought about this a little bit better, that when I'm having you rank books that you didn't have on your list, you're going to naturally deprioritize them. But, figured you'd take that into consideration. Anyways.
Well, we could just scrap this episode and re-record it. Should be fine.
This one's a good one, okay? This was number 5 on Lars's list, and it made my top 15, and it also made your top whatever you sent me. Never Split the Difference.
Ooh.
Chris Fox.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The challenge with this is the order by which you release these books.
That's the whole point. You have to. Yes.
It's going fun for everyone.
It's going to go. it's going to go at number 4.
4.
Yeah. A fantastic book. I would probably naturally put it down to 9 or 11, but because it's one of those that it's a practical book that you would apply later on down the line. But anyways, fantastic book around negotiation. So I actually remember listening to this book in full in August of 2020. During the kind of the height of the pandemic, and I had about lost my entire brain because I was working nonstop and needed a break, and came home in late July and said, we're going somewhere. We got to get out of here because I can't take this anymore. And we jumped on a plane and flew down to Miami, Florida, got a little Airbnb for 4 or 5 days, and just was kind of shut down from the rest of the world. And I remember listening to this book the entire time I was there. Gave a lot of practical information on when you get into a conversation or trying to solve a problem with somebody, understanding what their win is and understanding what your win is, and kind of
dissociating the problem from the people.
Correct. Yeah.
And how do we work towards it? Yeah. And Chris Voth he was an FBI hostage negotiator. So he works through the premise of rejecting compromise. So there's no room for compromise, and the way to get to it. And I find with when you're negotiating sales contracts and when you are negotiating with customers, understanding where they're coming from, and even with your staff, it's his classic line is like, so how can I do that? It's like, oh, well, you're 60 grand and, you want 100. Yeah. Like how do I do that? Right. And it just helps you understand kind of the psyche behind what are they actually arguing for? Are they protecting, is it the money, or is it the status that comes with it? What is it that actually is driving the decisions? So you can speak to that. And it talks at a high level, but it's also a really interesting read because he uses practical and experiential learnings. So it's cool. It's a really interesting book to read through.
I think there's a lot of lessons you can apply from a sales standpoint, but also just a business owner standpoint, all sorts of aspects of life. There's just so many different instances that you are negotiating, and lots of really good principles in there. So
yeah, I would agree.
All right. We have our top 2 spots remaining, which is really, you guys are leaving a lot of fate in my hands that I'm giving you 2 really good books, which, we will see. Interestingly enough, one of them is top number 1 on Chad's list, and one of them is number 2 on my list. So,
must be good.
All right, Lars.
And then I rank it. Perfect. Yes.
Well, you ranked your best book number 11, so that really threw a wrench in things. But Turn the Ship Around by Dan Marquet.
Yes. Intention-based leadership.
Yes.
Right. That's, I guess, I don't know what the last book is, so I'm going to leave it best for last. So this will be number 2.
Wow.
But intention-based leadership. It's another...
Probably one of the most referenced books on this podcast.
Yeah.
Outside of probably Traction, between those 2. Yeah,
and Traction's number 12 or whatever the list was. The simple concept, and again, another American military book. So if you have interest in that, it gives a nice framework and kind of tells a nice story. But effectively, I don't know, it's an admiral or a captain or whatever the heck he is at the time, but gets put into a situation where he goes from a very well-oiled machine, gets put into an absolute dumper that it's mayhem, and he has to figure out first of all, what's wrong, and how do we change basically the culture. I'll use that for you, Tony. But how do we change the mindset and the culture of this ship to literally turn it around?
Yeah.
And it's all about intention-based. And what I mean by that is, instead of having your team come to you and say, here's the monkey, or here's my problem, okay? Here's the problem. How do I fix it? Right? The change in the mindset is, have them approach you and say, this is the problem and this is what I intend on doing. because as a leader, you only have so much capacity as well. And it's mental energy of solving problems all day, every day. You come home at the end, you're exhausted. And what it does is it just reinforces that people don't actually have to make those critical thoughts themselves, for one, and two, it burns you out. And that's what probably most of us are impacted by negatively, is just having too many decisions in a day. So changing the mindset to an intention-based leadership and having your team say, I intend on doing this. All you have to say is yes or no. And you can also then, you have a chance to dive into it more if you want. But it's a nice read. It's an easy read. And it's a pretty straightforward concept that you can implement quite easily. So,
Chad, you had this as your top book. What
really?
What was the logic there?
The reason for it was because it's a fundamental leadership philosophy. And so if you can, like, if you grasp that and you apply it, then you go, okay, this is, everything else is going to kind of funnel around that. And if it's leaders eat last, probably extreme ownership, turn the ship around. They all have probably similar leadership philosophies. And so that's the reason I put it number one, is because I think you got to get that right first, and then start to build your processes and your business philosophy around it. But if you don't have a good leadership philosophy, then the business philosophy is going to struggle from implementation. So I can just tell you, like, the book for me was transformational from being a individual that wanted to be involved in everything and in control of everything, to turning into an individual that wanted to trust others to carry out a task.
Building proactive leadership. I think is the term they use.
And that was literally, like, it was transformational for me. And that's why I rank it so high. It literally changed who I was as a leader. And then a lot of other things kind of built on top of that. But it was the first concept that I got of a real mirror that I could look through and go, oh, this is what I'm doing, and I don't like this. So that's why I
and decentralizing leadership, and that is certainly, the earlier you can start from that, the better. Most of us will have we'll make all decisions for the organization for probably the first handful of years, for sure. And the earlier you can start decentralizing decentralizing decision making, and building those relationships, is going to suit you in the long run, for sure. So,
I would say this is a
good book,
really fundamental book for any new managers or leaders, about learning to delegate. I think it was one of the first business books I read. I remember sitting in Chad's office when I got my first tour of Lock Talk, like 12 years ago. And I was like, any books you recommend? And he was extremely adamant. I needed to read Turn the Ship Around. And,
it's consistency.
It's a good book. Yeah. And that's actually, telling in and of itself right there. That you recommended this book to me as your favorite book 12, 13 years ago. And it still was your number one. So it clearly had a huge impact on you, and that says a lot. So
it literally changed everything about me from a leadership perspective. So,
All right, number 12 on the last book we are ranking, which only has
is number one. This better be a good book.
Yes,
Tony.
I don't think either of you have read this book, so that's interesting. I've mentioned it before on the podcast a number of times, but "Buy Back Your Time" by Dan Martell, really good time management book to me. Talks a lot about just, again, delegation, prioritization. It kind of walks through doing calendar audits and again, delegating, figuring out which activities you should be focused on, which activities you should delegate, how to delegate those.
I just had a great idea for an episode. A live on-screen calendar audit for each of us.
Whew. Eesh. Let's not do that. This is definitely a book that I should reread. It was one of my favorite books. Dan Martell has a lot of good content out there, and I just really liked it.
So I'm curious. This is a great list. Do you want to recap the list?
Sure. Number 1, Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. Number 2, Turn the Ship Around by Dan Marquet. 2 Dan's.
It's David Marquet.
Close. Well, number 3, we do.
Dan Marquet. It's actually David Marquet. Close enough.
Number 3 is Dan Sullivan. 10x is better than 2x. Number 4, Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. Number 5, 4 Disciplines of Execution by Stephen Covey, I think. Number 6, Traction by Gino Wickman. 7,
Sean
Radical
Covey.
Candor by Kim Scott. Number 8, Drive by Daniel Pink. Lots of Dans on this list. Number 9, Extreme Ownership by
Dan. Jocko and Leaf.
Willink and
Leaf. His name's Leaf, Tom. It doesn't matter. Keep going. Tony is he's having a little trouble in the sauna. I think somebody's in there with him because he's really, really bright red in the face and looking sideways. So this is good content for a podcast. Do you want me to, Chad? Can you hop in here maybe while Tony?
I don't know what just happened.
Recuperates himself. Yeah,
Is he-
somebody's standing beside him.
Oh,
And it's
He
got
just
him really
no,
confused.
I don't.
he just got scared.
I don't know.
Maybe he starts whistling. What if he whistles? Maybe that'll help calm him down.
Yeah, this is good stuff. This moment brought to you by Tone. How are we doing here? Jocko and Leaf. What was the next one?
Is he just making up author names as he's going through this list?
Number 10, Profit First.
Okay.
Oh, we haven't made it to number 10 yet.
That would be Dan Michalski. God. So if you guys just want to fast forward to the end, you can find us at unlock.com.
Number 11 is Atlas Shrugged. And
Atlas
number
Shrugged.
12 is Rocket Fuel.
Ayn Rand and Gino Wickman.
Yep. So
Perfect. Good list. Not a great presentation of the list, but I think we got there. How did you rank them, Chad? How does that line up with your ranking?
The biggest thing that frustrates me about this ranking philosophy that we had here was that
dumb or what?
that Tony got to choose the selection of
No, I
when they
picked-
were released.
yeah, I picked our top 4 and randomized it. Like I didn't random, but I just went through and I was like,
So
Seems
Yeah.
very
that is the point of the
so
exercise. Is
that-
it's blind. You
It-
have to
but-
try
but
to.
just for clarity.
Yeah.
Your book that you selected was the number 1.
Yeah, I went last, figuring you would
Yeah.
like pick other ones first.
So are we disagreeing with the list here? If number 1 on your list, Chad, was extreme ownership.
No,
No.
turn the ship around.
So
the ship
yeah,
around.
so
Okay.
real quick, Lars's list was number 1, Atlas Shrugged. Number
No,
2,
this is-
Traction.
Mhm.
Number 3, 10x is better than 2x. Number 4, Lars actually had Who Not How.
Yeah.
I did not include that one because all of us commented on Never Split the Difference. So I put that one in, and that was Lars's number 5. Chad's list was number 1, Turn the Ship Around. Number 2, Profit First. Number 3, 4DX. Number 4, Rocket Fuel. Number 5, 10x is better than 2x. My top
All
5.
philosophy books, Chad.
My number 1 was Extreme Ownership. Number 2 was Buy Back Your Time. Number 3 was Drive. Number 4 was Radical Candor. And number 5 on my list was Predictably Irrational. It was a book I read in college that was all about psychology and human behavior.
Oh, Chad would hate that.
Yeah. So,
Psychology. Poop. Yeah.
so
Well, this was a fun little exercise, Tone. I'm glad Instagram inspired you into this. This was a good challenge for us. That 2/3 of us haven't read the number 1 book. So that's
listen, you guys ranked most of them. I was trying to put them towards the bottom.
I think we ranked a third of them. Yes, that would be accurate. So
Anyways,
it's good. What do we got coming up next, Chad? I think you're the next batter here, aren't you?
Yeah,
Yes.
this is going to be tough because this was a hard hitting episode. So I'm trying to figure out where we go from here.
another top 10.
And
Oh my God!
definitely not a top 10. We'll definitely be away from that. So one of the things that we have talked about, and I think even it's come up. I don't remember if it was last episode or this episode, was around the messy middle, which is actually a book that did not get on this list.
Reference it.
But it is a great book around understanding how to kind of grow the business. And really the big factor is you don't really know you're in the messy middle until you've gotten out of the messy middle. So next episode is going to be talking around navigating in and out of the messy middle, identifying it, and lessons that we've learned through that struggle and that process.
Sounds good.
Okay, I think we can get there. That is a very Chad-like title.
It is literally a book that he has read. That
the messy middle.
Yeah,
it's good. It's bright yellow. It's ugly.
It is. All right.
Land this plane, Chad. Where do they find us?
Man, what an episode. We should be able to get this list plus all of the other suggestions that we provided to Tony that he discarded on our blog at unlockedpodcast.com. You should subscribe, as Ken said at the top of the show. Make sure you subscribe because he's been a listener since day one, and you should also be a listener since day one.
Ken
Not sure
literally
exactly.
day one. Ken was around at he's prehistoric. He was day one.
So anyway, you should subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure you click that button on wherever you're listening or watching to this on, and make sure you check out our YouTube channel as well. You can subscribe there because it'll be fun, and we enjoy the comments that you leave there. So thank you very much for all your feedback. Thank you for the suggestions that you've given us and the topics, and look forward to seeing you guys on our next episode, which will come out sometime around next Thursday.